video on C++ tutorials. Today we're going to talk about pointers. Now, pointers are by no means trivial. Let me just put that out. At the same time, most of the times, let's say in a classroom setting, the pointers that you're going to use, they are basic pointers. I would like to call them first order pointers, which means you're basically just pointing to a particular memory location. That memory location changes. Now, all this is true for linked lists, stacks, queues, anything that you basically can implement using pointers. So think about pointers as an alternative variable form in C++. So a regular variable, as you can see here, a simple integer variable, is a variable that stores a value. So it declares some memory space and puts a 0 there on the memory, and this is your I variable. Now this is the default behavior of an integer variable. If you've worked with C++ a little bit, you would know that you can also access the memory address of this variable by just putting an ampersand sign before the IVAR right there. So you can say that the default behavior of an integer is to store a value, but you can access the address where that value is stored as well. So similarly, when you declare a variable, this variable is represented by this asterisk essentially. So it's a regular variable, except that the default behavior for a pointer variable is that it stores a value, it stores a memory address of another variable. So either that or it stores nothing, which means it stores null. So either PVAR, which is an integer pointer variable, will point to an integer memory location, or it will point to null, which means nothing. So this is kind of the basics of what pointers are. So let's reinforce this concept now. Let's say you have two variables, an I variable and a P variable, just like you've defined here. I variable, and let's say this is your memory location that you're working with. So I variable is this memory location, and the value on this memory location is represented by I variable. I representing integer, P representing a pointer. So the default behavior of an integer variable is that it shows you the value. And the default behavior of a pointer variable is that it stores the memory address of that value. Okay. Similarly, because we have dual nature of these variables, you can also access the memory location of an integer variable by putting an ampersand sign, and you can access the value on that memory location using a pointer variable with an asterisk sign. So you can use a pointer variable primarily where you're dealing with memory locations, and you can use a regular integer variable where you're using storing integer values. But the dual nature of these variables means that you can access the memory location or the value depending on what kind of variable you're using. Next up, we're going to write a simple piece of code to explain and to reinforce the concept that we just write some code related to the presentation that you just saw, the explanation. This will just reinforce your concepts, and hopefully you'll never forget them. So we start with our basic structure skeleton code. What we're going to do is declare an integer variable and give it a value 10, for example. So this is a regular integer variable with a value 10. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write cout statements along the way, so that when you run this code, you'll see the outputs and you can see exactly what's going on. So first off, I'm going to say IVAR, so I variable, the value of I variable is, so how do you know the value? You just say var, default behavior, value, because this is a regular integer variable. Value is this, and location is IVR with an ampersand sign at the beginning. So this is the location, that is the value. We move to the next line. Next up, I'm going to declare an integer pointer variable, var, and I'm going to say that this points to IVAR. So this asterisk signifies that this is a pointer. This signifies that this is an integer pointer variable. This ampersand signifies that we're not interested in the value of the I variable, we are interested in the memory instead. So you declare a new pointer variable and point that pointer variable to the memory address of the I variable. So what do you think is the value of the P variable now? So let's say the value of P variable is, how do we get to the value of a pointer? Because it's not the default behavior, we have to use the asterisk. So P asterisk P variable, and the location of the asterisk P variable is just P variable, because the default behavior of a pointer variable is address. So notice the difference. If you notice this cross right here, I variable default behavior value, P variable default behavior location. Next up, what I'm going to do is, so let's see and let's run this and see if this runs. Okay, so I variable, the value is 10, and this is the location in the memory. P variable, the value is 10, and the location is the same location. So we can confirm that the pointer variable is pointing towards the memory location of the integer variable. Next, I'm going to declare a second pointer variable, PVAR, 2 is equal to PVAR. So here's what I've done. I have already pointed the pointer variable to the integer variable. What I've done now is the second pointer variable is now pointing to the first pointer variable. So this is kind of a chain now. Okay. Again, let's see where this pointer variable is pointing. So value of pointer variable 2 is asterisk pointer variable 2, and location of the pointer variable is pointer variable 2. So let's see, what do you think should happen now? It's kind of a chain now, where let me kind of draw this chain. So PVAR points to PVAR2 points to PVAR, which in turn points to IVAR. Okay, let me comment this off. So let's run this and see what happens. So again, each one of these variables, these two pointers are pointing. So pointer 2 is pointing to pointer variable is pointing to integer variable, and the values and the addresses are essentially the same. Now I'm going to change, so just to show you that this pointer variable has a connection to integer variable, because we have created that connection using our assignments, that if I change a value of this second pointer variable, the value of I variable in fact changes. So I'm going to say P variable 2, and because I'm interested in the value, so I put an asterisk sign because this is a pointer variable. So the value is now 20. Okay, so the value is now 20. What do you think should be printed in each one of these print statements now? I'll give you just a moment to think about this. I want to print the value of IVAR now. Okay, so the value of IVAR will be printed using IVAR, and location will be printed using ampersand IVAR. So what do you think? What do you think changes? If you thought that the value of the I variable changes from 10 to 20. You're right. Uh, what do you think? Does the location change as well? Yes, no? Let's see. Okay, so I variable is now updated because we updated it using our second pointer variable. So this is a chain, and anything that changes in this change is reflected in any one of these variables. That's the beauty of pointers. I can change the value of I variable directly, and that change is reflected in P variable and P variable 2. I can change P variable, and that value change is reflected in this variable and this variable and so on. I could create a long list with these properties. Next, why would you want to use pointer variables? Well, later on you would see in my videos, um, um, later videos, that pointer variables are an essential part for making linked lists, true linked lists. I would say you can make a linked list. I'm using other ways where you don't really have control on the pointers, but that's the powerful nature of C++, that it allows you to use and manipulate memory locations. And when you create linked lists, that is where the true potential of pointers will be exposed. And so just keep an eye out for those videos. They'll be coming soon. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this video was useful for understanding basic understanding of pointers. The next video, which should come out soon, will discuss pointers in a little bit more details so that you have an idea of what the scope of pointers is in general. So thank you. Hit the like button if you liked the video, and see you